You know what time it is? Another day, another NLW podcast. This week we'll talk about War Games and the potential for Survivor Series, the stuff that's been going on AEW, a new champion being crowned, and also a new challenger potentially awaiting, and also the White Rabbit. Speculation begins, but before we get into all that, let's just talk about what's been going down in NLW and what I've been working on recently. So, what I've been doing is been editing the next NLW episode, and that should be out, I want to say start of November, so just over a month now until you get to see the next NLW episode. It's all edited and filmed, I've just got to render it and upload it, and it will soon be ready. I've also been enjoying the response to Metal Revival so far, just put out part 1 of that, and part 2 will be this Saturday featuring the exploding barbed wire deathmatch, which I'm very much looking forward to people seeing. Apart from that, though, I've just been kind of writing stuff here and there, like writing a couple of shows after WrestleMania and just doing bits and pieces really here and there. In terms of editing, for instance, I've done a post-show of Revival, so, there's going to be a big ending to Lethal Lockdown, and then this video is kind of the aftermath of that, so I've been editing that. I've also been doing a special video which announces the WrestleMania main event, and that'll be coming the week after Revival, so on the 15th, and that'll feature some big news, including a special little cameo for you guys. So yeah, that's coming in the next couple of weeks. Apart from that, though, just been really just sorting my room out, trying to organize my figures and things like that, really, because, I've got this Mattel Creations stuff now, this New Generation arena. Speaking of which, I do need to start filming the kind of review and setup of that. But yeah, whilst I was kind of fixing stuff and editing some stuff on my computer, something really spooky happened. Suddenly, I just hear this big bang, and it falls right in front of me, because next to me, I've got the shells, which, I don't know, maybe if you're working on a desktop, not the best idea to have figures that can potentially fall over, but I've got a set of figures just by my wall, and then suddenly it drops from the ceiling, it feels like, from out of nowhere, my John Cena figure, and there was nothing to, do this, there was nothing in the room that could have suggested that this figure would fall over, it's been there for weeks and weeks that I've not touched it, and suddenly it just drops, so I don't know, am I haunted? Maybe. I mean, it will be a good title for the podcast. Yeah, I'll put it as a podcast title, my wrestling figure's haunted, or my room's haunted, or something like that. Yeah, I don't actually think of the podcast title before I come up with when I'm actually doing it, so it's usually afterwards that I decide what I'm going to name it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other names, really. I mean, we'll talk about some exciting stuff, because there's some exciting stuff going on in the world of wrestling, and wrestling figures in that matter. So maybe my wrestling room's haunted, I don't know. Sometimes I'm hearing weird little creaks, I feel like they're talking to me. Maybe I'm just going insane because I've been in this room far too much. But, that's neither here nor there. That's basically what I've been filming with NLW, just kind of setting stuff up, finishing off some stuff. And I really want to get to filming more of NLW heading into WrestleMania, because I've got some exciting stuff coming up, which you'll hopefully enjoy, including the barbed wire match, which you should watch this Saturday. It's going to be insane. Let's have a look, because, I like talking about wrestling figures too. But what wrestling figures have been released recently? Well, they've released, as I said last week, they released the photos of Elite 97. But I'm not sure if they've released any more kind of photos. So Figure News seems to be a bit, not dead at the moment, but just a bit quieter on that front. So if I'm kind of looking at it here, it does say there are new images of the Ultimate Edition 15. And this Brock Lesnar, man, this is one that I really, really want to get. I'll be saving my pennies to get this one soon, hopefully. Because I have made an effort to be a bit calmer with the figures that I buy. So I think that maybe, I'll kind of chill out in the next couple of weeks and months, really, until the Black Friday sales. But yeah, just seeing this Brock Lesnar looks so clean, looks so fresh. The titles as well, it's got the plates for him on the side, which is really sick. So there's more you can do with those. And I was thinking potentially about getting the regular Brock Lesnar Elite, or even just the basic and doing a head swap, but this Ultimate Edition looks really, really sick, so I definitely would like to get this one. And you know what, likewise, the Mega Powers 2-pack looks pretty cool too. the one with Hogan and Macho. I mean, the Hogan is one that we've kind of seen a lot of. Like, it's not really different to a lot of the figures that have been released of him recently. But the Macho Man with the cape looks really, really cool. So maybe that is one that I potentially want to get. I also definitely want to get this Stampede Wrestling Owen Hart figure, because, you know, the AEW figures, they're notoriously easy to customize and change up and do fix-ups for, so that is one that I'll be looking to get. They have got an Extreme Rules sale going on now, though. That might be worth a look, but it's so close to Black Friday, like in November, that I might as well just wait and see what deals they've got going on there. Apart from that, more kind of just general figure news in terms of what Elite series are coming up. I'll tell you what, though, I'm really, really looking forward to that Elite 100 line. That is one that, one that I will want to get probably the whole set of. But again, we'll see, because I am trying to cut back my figure expenditure after seeing how many I've kind of bought. But yeah, you should look at the what is it? What's the video? Oh yeah, the figure collection video that I put out this week on the channel. Not seen it yet. It's my biggest collection to date. And a kind of it's a cool setup. The best kind of display I've ever made, personally. So yeah, go and check that video out. But yeah, not really a lot to speak of in the figure news. I just wanted to gush over the Brock Lesnar Ultimate Edition. But what about wrestling news? My oh my. Well, I went to do the podcast like moments before this announcement was made. At the time, it was just like rumor and innuendo, so I didn't really want to kind of speculate on it. But now it's been confirmed that's for Survivor Series, War Games coming back. It looks like they'll be kind of drifting away from the Raw vs. SmackDown aspect, at least partially for these War Games matches. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series match, because they're not doing a stupid draft like a week before, which is good. But these War Games matches, man, that's going to be sick, because you know that Damage Control is going to be in it. And you know that the Bloodline is going to be in full force in those matches. So that's going to be really cool. And just the potential possibilities of who you could put against them would lead to so many cool matches down the line. It also avoids Roman Reigns having to put his championship on the line by competing in the War Games match, which is good, because, you know, the predictability factor when the title's on the line, it's a little bit higher. So I think a War Games match is a good way around that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Like, I've not looked forward to a pay-per-view in a long time. And, you know what, we'll talk about pay-per-views, actually. Extreme Rules coming up. Jeez, the card for this looks so sick. You've got Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. What else have you got? Let's type in Extreme Rules, because it looks like Roman won't be defending his title on that show, because he's obviously facing Logan Paul. And I'll don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I'm on board with Logan Paul. You know, I don't mind that matchup so much. I think I did mention it last week. But yeah, you've already got an Extreme Rules match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. That could be really fun. The strap match between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, and Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins in a fight pit match. Oh my god, the first fight pit between Riddle and Thatcher was insane, like really, really cool. And you know, even the second one between Ciampa and Thatcher was pretty cool. So yeah, it's good to see it make a return on a main roster show. Should be fun. And it looks like as well Bayley and Bianca will have a match on that card, which will be sick. So some really cool stuff going on in WWE at the moment. And Raw was really good too. Like, the show has been so solid. Last week's SmackDown was great. I haven't actually checked out this week's SmackDown, but good stuff going on there. And from what I've kind of been seeing from not NLW, talking about my own gimmick there, AEW. AEW seems to be on a roll now, with the Arthur Ashe shows being a success. Chris Jericho being the new Ring of Honor champion. I've seen people say, oh, you know, they cut Claudio's reign short, but I think that Claudio has had enough of a run. I think if Jericho has it and then it leads to a chase where Claudio wins it back, I think that can put him over even more. So I'm definitely for Jericho winning the championship, especially if a Ring of Honor TV deal is on the horizon. So that's great. Saraya as well, we have seen just debut for AEW. What they do with the women's division now, hopefully it does get more attention, because it hasn't recently. But yeah, still cool to see Saraya. I think she can be a great mouthpiece. I'm not entirely sure if she's cleared or not, but it still could be a fun kind of pairing, whoever you put her with, as an authority figure or whatever the case may be, a manager. I think she can add a lot to the product, so good to see her there. What else do we see? Let's talk about the White Rabbit, actually. The White Rabbit stuff is, you know, I mean, it's obviously Bray Wyatt. That's what I'm saying at the moment. You know, I could be proven wrong. But it's a very, very cool, compelling way of having an angle that's not even like explicitly mentioned on TV, like not even in vignettes and stuff. It's just online speculation. And I think that's something that's cool about wrestling in this age, is that there's new ways of kind of promotion and putting things out there. For instance, the MJF stuff, turned into a storyline, obviously, but they didn't really run with it as much as they could have done, in my opinion. But he is back now, so that's good. We do see, though, a lot of this cool marketing of the White Rabbit storyline. So you got the QR codes on Raw, and then on SmackDown, at that time that they said, it was the coordinates for Raw in Edmonton this Monday. And I think it's sick that they kind of keep this going through this marketing and through all these different bits and pieces, these QR codes, and also leaving the flyers on fans' cars at SmackDown as well. Like, that's a really cool, and I don't really think that that's been done before in wrestling, like to just leave little clues and little tidbits here and there for fans to kind of latch onto. So I love the little seeds they've been dropping. I hope they do more of this kind of cryptic storytelling moving forward, putting things throughout the shows to make you kind of pay attention. I think Triple H's booking of the shows has been fantastic. It's really compelling stuff, because not only have you got the storyline stuff there, which wasn't lacking before really, but I think that it's more coherent now and it's more fun now. But also the wrestling complements it too, and they're just allowed to go out and have great matches. For instance, Rollins and Lashley had a great match this past Monday on Raw, and it just makes you think that, you know, they're finally using the talent they've got to their full potential. And I think that's one of the criticisms of maybe Vince McMahon's WWE, is that, yeah, the storyline aspect of it was good when it wanted to be, but the wrestling maybe held back certain talent. And I feel like talent is now, I don't know, allowed to flourish in a way that may not have been before. Like, you know, Rollins is a great wrestler, but maybe he's kind of stuck in what he could be doing in the ring, and, you know, DQ finishes and stuff. We haven't seen that many DQ finishes as well on Raw. Like, they're still there to an extent, but they're usually there to progress a story. Whereas before it was just a kind of a cheap cop-out. But now, you know, we're actually getting finishes on matches, which is, you know, not a lot to ask for, but it's still really fun. But yeah, I love Triple H's WWE, man. I think it's sick. And I could gush over it all day, every day. But AEW as well, seems like, from the rumours, the backstage morale is much higher with the Elite and CM Punk on. So that's, you know, that shows in the product really, because the shows have been steadily improving, and I like that about it. There's still work to be done, I think, for AEW, but they're breaking the million consistently now, and they are in the midst of a decent run with TV. So yeah, and Moxley's new AEW champion, and you know, if you know that MJF's going to win in the end, then maybe it is the best choice to put it on Moxley and not have Danielson have what could be described as a flat run. But, you know, selfishly, wouldn't mind to see Bryan, but I think it's only fair that Moxley wins it. After all, he's kind of been the workhorse. He's the stable one to put the championship on, and MJF versus Moxley, it's got an in-written story on its own. So I think that'll be a fun match whenever that happens, whether it's Full Gear or later on down the line. But yeah, the wrestling landscape as a whole, really, really cool. And Bobby Fish is in Impact now, but that's another story. I talked about it with Spam, about Bobby Fish. But yeah, some really cool stuff. So we'll go with match and wrestler of the week. And it's unfair to really pick a match of the week, but I will say Rollins versus Lashley out of all the ones that I've seen recently, just because it was a really fun opener, and I can't wait to see what they do with Rollins and Bobby going forward. And wrestler of the week, I'm not entirely sure who I would pick, really. But let's give it to, I don't know, Jericho, because he's consistently, he's there, he's in the title picture, they keep doing different stuff with him, so, and he's the Ring of Honor champion, and it's quite a historic tidbit of information there for Jericho to win the Ring of Honor title finally. I mean, if you'd asked people 10 years ago that Chris Jericho in 10 years' time would be ROH champion, you'd be mad. You'd be mad to think it, but very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Ring of Honor once it eventually comes back. But now we'll come on to the final bits. first of all, we'll go on to Patreon shouts out, and then we'll go on to NLW, what the schedule is looking like, coming up very soon. So, thank you to Brody, Jason Beggs, Joshua, Kid Zap, Casey Hellschool, Devin Downlin, Ryan McCarthy, Cupid, Anthony Hill, True Quan, Brandon Furman, Cringe God, Yun Pack Forever, Flynn Lampkin, and John on Patreon. If you'd like to support Patreon, support me on Patreon even, and get early access to Revival, as well as an exclusive NLW 24/7 show called Penultimate, which is 45 minutes long, some great wrestling action. If you want to get early access to it, the link is in the description to my Patreon, and for just $1, you can watch that NLW 24/7 show, and hell, if you sign up for $1, I might even just give you the link to Revival. Screw it, why not, considering it's already started. So yeah, link in the description for that. And what's coming up on the NLW channel? Well, this Saturday, it's the Exploding Barbed Wire Deathmatch. The week after, on the 8th of October, it's going to be Lethal Lockdown. So Revival going to continue on the main channel. And then on the 15th of October, I will be revealing the main event to WrestleMania, featuring a special cameo that you won't want to miss. And on this channel, hopefully we've got the Mattel Creations video coming up this Thursday. It really depends on a lot of factors, really. And then the week after, I think, because it's Extreme Rules week, there'll be an Extreme Rules prediction video. But I've also been editing an NLW Ruthless kind of unseen matches kind of highlight compilation, which may be up on this channel soon. But yeah, Revival continuing. Make sure to check out Revival from this past Saturday if you haven't already. McIntyre and Joe put on a banger. And this Saturday, it's the Exploding Barbed Wire Deathmatch between Edge and Jon Moxley. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It'll be back again next week, maybe with a guest, maybe not. I haven't decided yet. It all depends on if people will respond to my messages, but we will see. Leave suggestions for podcast guests in the comments below as well, to who you might like to see. And yeah, that's it for this podcast. I will catch you guys later.